guys. This is Thomas Allen, and I am here today to talk to you guys who are probably experiencing some difficult times with in acting out behaviors, whether it's alcoholism, whether it's drug addiction, whatever the compulsive behavior or whatever it is that you're going through. I'm sure that if you're like me, when I was acting out on compulsive urges that manifest as exhibitionism, it was very difficult because, for one thing, you're dealing with self-loathing. You probably, if you were like me, you can't stand yourself. You hate who you are. Wish you were dead. Have considered suicide or took a shot at it. And so I'm talking to you folks who are in the grip of a progressive illness, a compulsive disorder, whether it's, and here, let me just share this with you guys so that you will kind of get a better understanding of what I'm talking about here. When it comes to recovery, we talk about recovery from what? Well, there are a lot of, behaviors and a lot of substances that we can be addicted to. There's alcoholism, and you talk about alcoholism, you've got, and I'm not going to name every alcoholic beverage, but if anyone who's ever walked into a liquor store, all you have to do is walk in there and you can see that, there's a smorgasbord of alcohols to choose from. And you got your beers, same thing, and the wines, same thing. It's just the list is a mile long of all the different types of hard liquor, beer, and wines to choose from for an alcoholic. Same with drug addiction, cocaine, meth, opioids. You got your pot, your oxycodone, painkillers. And again, there were people who put glue in a bag. When I was a kid, we actually would put glue in a bag and, sniff glue it, playing hooky from school. And I didn't do that a lot, but I did it a couple times with friends. And it's just to say that, drugs are just as extensive. There's a smorgasbord of those to choose from as well. And then compulsive behaviors, probably more extensive list than anything, because I have said this before. I believe that any behavior that, any human behavior can be engaged in on a compulsive level. You've got gambling, smoking, eating, hoarding, exhibitionism, lying. Some people they're compulsive liars. They can't, and it's, people attack people and they look down on people for these things, cleaning the house and stuff like that. Look down on people for these things, but I think a lot of people don't understand, or they forget that this is an illness. These people are sick, and they need help. They don't need to be attacked and demeaned and viciously derided for the behavior. What they need is help to overcome the behavior. Look, the ultimate goal, I think what society wants is for these people to be well and not do these things, right? I think that some people attack others and they look for other people to attack, and that they do that on a compulsive level, and that's just as big a sickness as any of these other behaviors. So I would encourage people who, find themselves constantly seeking other people to demean, to look at themselves, because that's kind of a sick behavior too. Anyway, moving on from that, just want to share with you folks what I think qualifies me to work with people on this level. So I will just share a couple of things with you guys. Recovery Education Center, Recovery Innovations of Arizona Incorporated. Here's a certificate that I received for, and this was back in 2008, for group dynamics. And also community building certifies that I completed 78 days of intensive outpatient co-recovery treatment from the community building program through Recovery Innovations of Arizona. That was in June of 2008. And also, while I was taking part in the classes in the program at Recovery Innovations, I received a certificate completed the course of study for the RAP program, which the RAP program is the Wellness Recovery Action Plan. And I want to talk a little bit more to you guys today about the RAP program, because that is where, in the recovery program that they offered at Recovery Innovations, that was the start of the program, and that was, I was awarded in January of 2008, and first of the year of 2008. That is where I started my recovery program in this particular program. Of course, I had a lot of experience in, going to meetings with people in Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous. I did a lot of the Sex Addicts Anonymous. I did a lot of the anonymous meetings, the 12 steps, and those were very, very valuable days and valuable times for me in terms of my recovery. I also, in May of 2008, participated in a program that where I completed and received a certificate of completion for peer addiction recovery training, which means that I am certified to work with other people on a peer support basis, to support you as a peer in your recovery. So I have a certificate for that. I also recently achieved a certificate of completion for paralegal/legal assistant program at Central Texas College, and so I finished that program, and I'm also, so that means that now I am also hold a certificate for as a paralegal. And so I just wanted to share that with you folks, just to show that I do have some qualifications. In addition to, and I once told this to Dr. Phil when I appeared on that Dr. Phil show, that and a lot of people didn't understand when I said this. They were angry that some people were actually angry that I said this to Dr. Phil, because I felt like, he was doing a lot of criticizing me for behavior that I had already overcome through this program at Recovery Innovations, among other programs. And so I just kind of felt like, well, actually, that's not true. I had overcome this behavior before the program at Recovery Innovations. That behavior had stopped. I just felt like I wanted to continue in my recovery, and I wanted to participate in more programs, because basically as I said before, had participated in Alcoholics Anonymous program, a lot of the 12-step programs. And those programs were very instrumental in helping me overcome my compulsive exhibitionism. So before I even went on the Dr. Phil program, I had overcome that behavior. So when he started attacking me in a way that, clearly indicated that he did not believe, he was questioning my, my recovery. And so he said something, and I said, well, you haven't asked me one time how I overcame the behavior. And he says, well, I haven't asked questions because I have a problem with the answers. And so I said, well, he started to say something else, and I said, well, you've never suffered from a compulsive behavior, so what do you really know about it? I mean, and what I meant was, and I explained this to him, what I meant was, you don't know anything about the self-loathing, the the self-hatred that you feel, the humiliation, any of those types of feelings that go along with not being able to live up to your own standards of behavior, your own moral compass. I mean, that's devastating to an individual, where they have this code of moral ethics and they fail at meeting those standards daily. That's devastating to a person, and Phil knows nothing about that. So that's what's so unique and special about the peer support relationship. And that's why even in Alcoholics Anonymous, and the peer support, the whole idea of peer support is kind of something that was borrowed from or stolen from the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, because they have, since the 30s, since that program began, used a peer, sort of a peer support model, one alcoholic helping another to achieve sobriety. And so that's where the whole idea of peer support comes from, is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's what it's all about. You get what they call a sponsor in AA, and that's just another alcoholic who has achieved sobriety helping you to also achieve sobriety. So that's where that comes from. And so I do have all of those things in my background, including the experience of having been there. So if you're feeling right now you're suffering from a compulsive disorder or alcoholism or any of those other things that I just showed you on the list, I know how you feel. You feel that your situation is hopeless. You feel helpless to solve the problem, to overcome, the urges and the obsession of the mind, the constant thinking about doing that drug or taking that drink or engaging in that behavior. It's a constant obsession of your mind. It's a monkey on your back that never leaves you alone. And I understand those feelings because I have been there. And that's what makes peer support and the system of, sponsorship through the program Alcoholics Anonymous makes it so special. Is because you're working with people who understand exactly what you're going through, and that's important to people who are suffering from these behaviors. And so, just wanted to share that with you guys. And now, a lot of people wonder, okay, well, because it is overwhelming, and a lot of people wonder, well, where do I even begin? In this recovery stuff. And so that's what I want to share with you guys right now, is where we're going to begin with this. We're going to start with the WRAP program. It's the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, and we'll start at the beginning of it, because in this particular program, which I found to be, a very effective program, it helped me to grow in my recovery. Like I say, I had already, gotten past that behavior, the exhibitionistic behavior. I was already past that when I went into this program, but I wanted to continue my program of recovery because I wanted a solid foundation. And I wanted more than a solid foundation. I wanted to build on that solid foundation that I had. And so let's start where I started. And I'll just walk you guys through that. Now, this is something that in the WRAP program that's not, it's kind of like an introduction. It's a wellness toolbox. And it shows us that WRAP consists of 5 parts: daily maintenance, triggers, external warnings, breaking down, and a crisis plan. And with your daily maintenance, that involves, just asking yourself, or checking in with yourself, being aware of how am I when I'm well, action plan to keep myself well, and extra things I might need to do. Next, triggers. What are they? Identify those triggers. Action plan to reduce the effects of triggers. In addition, I could also blah, blah, blah. Early warning signs for those triggers, right? What are the early warning signs? Someone yelling at you, or, feeling depression set in, could be an early warning sign. Action plan to reduce those symptoms. If you feel yourself getting depressed, what do you do? In addition, you could blah, blah, blah. And breaking down. What does this look like? Action plan to stay safe. In addition, I could blah, blah, blah once again. And so here is your crisis plan, step 5. To have a plan in place in the event of crisis. How am I when I'm well? Symptoms, supporters, medications, treatments, home, community care, treatment facilities, help from others, in activating the plan. And so these are the 5 steps in the wellness toolbox that the WRAP consists of. Let's go ahead and start with daily maintenance. Daily maintenance, blow this up a little bit so you guys can see it. And daily maintenance, this is the first section of the WRAP. There are 3 parts. Describe yourself when you're feeling all right. Do this in list form. Some descriptive words that others have used are bright, reserved, quiet, energetic, humorous, contemplative, difficult, reasonable, responsible, curious. And, the list goes on. And what I recommend is you don't actually need necessarily this handbook to be successful in this WRAP action plan. You don't necessarily need that. Get you a 99-cent, you could get a 99-cent notebook, and just make your heading and use that notebook, and just under the heading of daily maintenance list, just write down, pause this video, and take down these suggestions of how you feel and add to them underneath that. Just write down the ones that are because this is an individualized program. For each person, their list will be different. So just take what applies to you off this list, and if there's things that are not on this list, go ahead and add them. And that's how I would approach that. Daily maintenance list 2, and here again, it's just a daily maintenance list for your action plan, and this is part 2. Make a list of things that you need to do for yourself every day to keep yourself feeling all right. Some ideas might include: eat 3 healthy meals and 3 healthy snacks, drink at least 6 8-ounce glasses of water, exercise for at least half an hour, get a half an hour exposure to outdoor light, which I highly recommend, take medications and vitamins. I personally don't take the medications. I had bad experiences with those. I did medications for years and years, but if you need them, then that's fine. 20 minutes of relaxation, meditation, write in journal for at least 15 minutes. I am a very big advocate of journaling. Spend a half an hour enjoying fun, affirming, or creative activity. Circle any of those. Again, pause the video, write down these things. If there's other things that are not on this list, feel free to go ahead and write them down, include them on your daily maintenance list. Because again, it's an individual list. What works for one person may not necessarily work for another. So your list is for you. Daily maintenance list part 3, optional. On this page, make a reminder list of things you might choose to do. Reading through this list daily helps keep you on track. They may be things that you will do once a week, once a month, or when you feel the need. Set up an appointment with a healthcare professional. Spend time with good friends. Spend extra time with your partner. Be in touch with your family. Spend time with children or pets. Get more sleep. Plan something fun for the weekend. Plan a vacation. Take a hot bubble bath. Go for a long walk. And the list goes on. Go to support group, 12-step meetings, which I highly recommend. The 12-step meetings, one of the best things I ever did in terms of recovery. And doesn't matter if you're an alcoholic or not. I recommend going to the AA meetings as opposed to the Narcotics Anonymous or the Sexaholics Anonymous or any of those, because Alcoholics Anonymous, I personally found that there were people in there who had been sober for 10, 20, 30 years. And that's long-term sobriety. And these people were not just refraining from drinking and white-knuckling it. These people were happy and joyous and free. They were free from their alcoholism, and you could see it in them, So, and that's what I wanted. So, highly recommend the 12-step groups. And I'll share this with you too about this 12-step groups. When I was going through the 12-step groups, I was going through this program of Alcoholics Anonymous out in California, and at the time when I was acting out on my behaviors and everything, it was one of the worst possible times of my life. I hated myself. I wanted to die. I just felt like such a low-life scumbag. I just felt like there were times I thought I wasn't a good person, but I come to find out I was a good person. Sometimes good people do bad things. I always felt bad about the things I did, which is what makes you a good person. You see, sometimes bad people also do bad things. The difference between a good person and a bad person is that a bad person could care less. He doesn't care that he's harmed other people. It doesn't bother him at all. In fact, there are a lot of bad people that delight in harming other people. Good people feel badly about the things that they did. They have remorse over those things. They suffer mental anguish over, past misdeeds. And that's what remorse is. And so if you're feeling that, you're a good person. You just have a problem and you have to get a handle on it. And I want to help you out with that if I can. This is the second section of the wrap. Moving on here. There are 3 parts to this section. On this page, write down those things which might cause an increase in your symptoms. They may have triggered or increased symptoms in the past. Some examples are anniversary or losses or trauma, traumatic news events, being very overtired, work stress, family friction, a relationship ending, spending too much time alone, being judged or criticized, being teased or put down, financial problems, physical illness, sexual harassment, hearing aggressive sounding noises, feeling left out, things that remind you of abandonment, intimacy, excessive stress, someone telling you how to run your life, extreme guilt, substance abuse. So these are all things that could trigger, those behaviors. And we might not, it may happen totally on a subconscious level. We may not even be aware that these things trigger us. But sure enough, Um, these are the things. So I would just urge you to pay attention to your feelings and the things that are going on, external things that are happening around you, and how those things affect you, how you feel, uh, you know, in response to some of those external factors. Examine those, be aware of those, because some of those things could be the things that we really need to pay attention to in order to help avoid the relapses and the acting out on the behaviors, the drinking, the drug use, the gambling, whatever it may be. So I encourage you to, and would urge you to pay attention to those things that trigger you. Now, triggers part 2. Develop a plan that you feel will help keep your symptoms from worsening if triggering events occur. Some ideas might be: make sure I do everything on my daily maintenance list. Good idea. Call a support person and ask them to listen while I talk through the situation. Do some deep breathing exercises. Get validation from someone I feel close to. Do a half-hour relaxation exercises. All good advice. All good things to do. And then here's the third and final part of the triggers. And what this involves is, what are some of the things that you might choose to do? Examples: journaling, vigorous exercise, focusing exercises, seeing or talking to your counselor, case manager, or sponsor. And once again, those are things that you could choose to do to help you deal with the things that trigger you, the things that make you feel uneasy, things that make you feel, or things that you might notice that kind of just happen, right before you find yourself acting out. If you can connect those dots, that's going to help you out a lot. A wellness toolbox is a set of tools that we can use to help ourselves maintain wellness and as responses to uncomfortable and or dangerous symptoms. Each person has tools that work particularly well, and as well, try new things we add to our list or cross off items that no longer serve us well. Each person's toolbox will be different, individual, and couldn't be truer words have never been spoken. Each person, we're all unique individuals, unique human beings, and because of that, we've been through different circumstances that shaped us into who we are and led to a lot of times some of these behaviors. And so because those things are all so individualized, the program of recovery has to also be kind of individualized to an extent in some ways. Here are some examples of the things that others have found useful in their wellness toolbox. Talk to a friend, do something normal. Talk to a healthcare professional, wash my hair or shower, peer counseling, which is kind of what we're doing right now. Get medication checked, focus exercise, get second opinion, reality check, relaxation or stress reduction exercise, call a warm line, guided imagery, be with people who are loving and positive. For me, I didn't have any of those people. Well, I did in AA because I met a lot of really good people. Alcoholics are really good people when they're sober. You may not like them so much when they're drunk and they're ranting and raving, but you get in the rooms, those Alcoholics Anonymous rooms, and you're going to meet some of the greatest people on the planet Earth. Loving, warm, caring people. Journaling, wear clothes that make you feel good, creative expression, talk to a friend, do something normal, wash my hair, shower, peer counseling. Again, we're doing that now. Get medication checked, focusing exercise, get a second opinion, reality check. And I'm not going to go through the rest of the list, but here it is. You can pause the video and, take out, pick and choose, get that notebook out and write. I encourage you to do this, man. Get a notebook, man. When I say man, I'm talking to everybody. That's just the way I talk. I'm from the 70s, and so we called everybody man back then. So, but I'm talking to everybody, male, female, doesn't matter, your race, your gender, you can be either one of the two genders, doesn't matter. But these are good suggestions, and I strongly encourage you, I urge you to just get a notebook. It's 99 cents. Take the time to write these things down, man. Writing things down, there is power in the pen, and there's power in writing things down, because when you write something down, it helps to reaffirm it in your mind. It helps to reinforce it in your subconscious, and it takes a better hold, in your mind when you write things down. So, and that's what you want. You want this recovery to take hold in your mind. So I strongly encourage you to write these things down. We'll move on to the last part of the wellness toolbox here. This is the second part of the wellness toolbox. Looks like I'm buffering a little bit there. I paid $1,200 for this computer and I get buffering. Okay, list of your tools could also include things you want to avoid. And this is also very important, because not only a list of things that you can do is important, but a list of things to avoid, things that could trigger you to relapse or to go back and re-engage in that behavior. Alcohol, sugar, caffeine, going to bars, getting overtired, certain people. We all know somebody that you can only take in small doses, and because they trigger you, they get on your nerves, and next thing you know, you're stressed out. You're going out to that bar, or you're using that drug, or you're exposing yourself, or whatever. Because all of these things, these triggering events, they lead you back to that behavior, whatever the behavior is. And this is why I say, doesn't matter what form of compulsive behavior, or what form, whether it's alcoholism, drug use, or a compulsive behavior, it doesn't matter. The solution is going to end up ultimately being the same. So just be aware of that. And I just want to, before I go, I want to share something with you guys, because this is really, really good, good information. I don't want to go too long on this, but I highly recommend the 12 steps, because it is really, really a powerful program of recovery. And I'll share this with you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'm going to shut up. How it works. This is so important to know how this program of recovery works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those, too, who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we're like now. If you decide you want what we have and you're willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. And some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, or whatever it is. When I was going to these meetings, everyone else would be saying alcohol, and I'd say it too, out loud. But in my mind, I was saying exhibitionism, and that worked for me. Remember that we deal with whatever it is: alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point, and we asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. They suggest these. Nobody can make you do anything, but this is what's suggested, and they suggest these things, these steps, because they work. Number one, we admitted we were powerless over whatever it is: alcohol, drugs, addiction, compulsive behavior, that our lives had become unmanageable. No, step number two, came to believe that, oh, jeez, can't believe that. Step number two, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sin. That was a pop-up for an advertisement that just popped up. I hate that. I put a pop-up blocker on my computer, but obviously it's not working. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step three, made a decision to turn our will, another pop-up, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Step four, made a decision to turn, Step 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Now, that was a very tough step because it requires you to write down every dirty, low-life thing you've ever done in your life. And that was very hard to do. And you have to be thoroughly honest, rigorously honest about every scumbag thing you've ever done. That's not an easy thing to do. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So that list, that fearless moral inventory that we made in step 4, we had to actually tell that to another person, and share that with God and to that other person. And let me tell you something, it's not easy to sit there and tell another person. You got to really trust that person to tell them every scumbag thing you've ever done. But you have to do, and you have to include every scumbag thing you've ever done if you want to recover. It's just the way it is. They say confession's good for the soul. Well, it is. Anyway, step 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all of these defects of character. 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And, oh boy, what am I missing here? Oh, here we are. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order, I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We're not saints. The point is that we're willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we've set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description to the agnostic, to the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God could and would if he were sought. So I'm going to leave it right there today. And I just want to, just let you guys know that if you're wondering where to start, if you feel overwhelmed about this program of recovery and you're not sure where to start or what to do, start right there. Start right there in this video and just take a hold of it, own it, and participate in your own recovery. Just participate in your own recovery, man, because there is hope on the other side. There's happiness, joyous. You can be happy, joyous, and free. That is there for you. Happiness is there for you. Freedom is there for you. Joy is there for you. Anyone can change their behavior. Anyone can. I believe that anyone can. The only question is, are you willing to do the work that's necessary? And are you willing to take the time that's necessary? And, like I said, a lot of people will say that relapse is a part of recovery. And so, if you relapse, a lot of people right there, they'll give up and say, oh, it didn't work. Well, if at first you don't succeed, try again. I relapsed more times than I can even count. But now I'm coming up on, I'm getting close to 20 years. I'm getting close to 20 years. I'm on the other side of 15 years, inching up towards 20. I never thought that would be possible for me. And I'm going to tell you something. If someone as sick as I was can overcome that behavior, anybody can. So until the next time we can get together, and I'll be making another video soon within the next week or so. Work on these steps. Start right here. I'm not gonna leave you. I'm not gonna, just leave you hanging with this. I'll continue and make more videos. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section. I'm happy to answer any questions for you guys. Do whatever I can do to help you guys, get through this, or at least start your journey through recovery and to come out on the other side being that new person, you know. And I want that for you guys. So um, until the next time we meet, take care of yourselves and take care of the people that love you.